I agree with you there. And it's one of the reasons that I don't think, although I think that there's more pain ahead, I might call it a category 3 unless some other exogenous factor makes it turn into a category 5
storms
really
merged
quickly.
together.
Which we've seen that can happen, multiple things. I mean, war and pandemics and, all kinds of things can happen. OPEC cutting, supply when just as prices are coming down. There's things that are very complicated that can push us off a cliff very quickly or turn that category 3 into a category 5. But when people are looking for a category 5 and hoping that home prices are going to plummet and you can scoop up properties dirt cheap, I don't see that piece happening the way that it did in 2008, because to your point, in 2008, you had all of these variable rate loans that were coming due, pushing everybody's home payment much, much higher. And you had overbuilding and hyper supply in many, many, many areas. And so when you add those two things together, you really had a peak that had to come down. Both there was too much supply, then people were foreclosing, they were losing their jobs, and there wasn't enough demand and lending. So we don't see the demand and lending because of rates going up and lenders cutting back their underwriting for only the best quality buyers, essentially. But the Fed killed supply. And so when you have, 2.6 to 3.6% effective interest rates, and that's still below inflation, you're making money by keeping that mortgage and staying in your house, really on an inflation adjusted basis.
You are.
And so nobody's going to sell that house unless they have to. So it's where is the consumer in terms of the distress, and how is that relative to all the other people in their area? Because if you're in an area that, let's say I'm going to pick on Detroit, that was like Detroit, where the entire auto industry left, and so everyone lost jobs. So in that area, there was a major increase of supply. Unless you have something like that happening in a particular sector or a particular area that really doesn't have a lot of employers or diversity in the industries of the employment, those areas could still hit something similar to 08 and 09 if major employers leave and then they have to move. But barring that, if you're in an area that has a lot of diversity in terms of employment options, like you said, you might lose a job, but you go on unemployment and you can probably still find another job. So you're only really going to have people that move for divorce, death, and job relocation for the most part. Most people are going to say my home is my only asset. And if I have to declare bankruptcy to wipe out credit card debt and car loans and, anything else, they won't lose their house as long as they keep paying their house payment. So I think supply stays low relative to demand, or at least flat. And that's going to keep us from having a major housing recession when it comes to house values plummeting. Although if the economy gets worse and worse and worse, and we start to see a lot of, corporate bankruptcies, which I still think could happen, and a lot of banks starting to continue to experience pain, that could cause those unemployment spikes that could cause more people to have to move for jobs. And it could start depressing prices a little bit if you have an uptick in supply as a result. So don't think the pain is over. Don't think there's going to be no dip in housing values. There isn't, as long as people aren't incentivized to move and sell, and as long as rates are high relative to what they have today. But there could be more pain ahead, and I expect that there will be. And within that, there will be pockets of opportunity. So you need to look at, where are the distressed sellers? Where are the motivated sellers? How can I create win-win deals that helps them out of a difficult situation and also allows it to make sense for me financially to do the deal?